and welcome back to the Boulder Bookstore. My name is Julia, and today I am here to talk to you about cookbooks. We've touched on a few cookbooks on the channel so far, but we haven't done a video dedicated to them, and thought that needed to change. So I'm an avid cook, but like I think most people, I actually get a lot of my recipes online nowadays. I love cookbooks. I have lots and lots of cookbooks, but I do tend to, go towards online resources quite frequently when I'm looking for a recipe to make. But there are some cookbooks, and I think every cook should have some cookbooks in their kitchen, no matter if you're like on the boiling water for making pasta level or if you're like a very experienced cook. Everybody should have at least a few cookbooks in their kitchen. I have a lot, but these 4 that I've picked to talk about today are ones that have permanent homes in my kitchen. There are others, but these 4 are ones that will always be in my kitchen. There are 2 that I think fit one category, which is kind of an all-purpose cookbook. I think everybody should have some kind of cookbook in their kitchen that if they have a new vegetable and they don't know how to cook it, or if they're looking for just a general recipe on how to make muffins, they should have a cookbook that, has those core recipes. If you're kind of stuck in the kitchen, you don't know what to make, don't know how to make something, you can turn to those. I think that's one category you should have, and the other category is the kind of more niche cookbooks of maybe a specific kind of cuisine or a specific type of cooking, like, if you're really into bread baking or vegetarian cooking, that kind of thing. I think you should have at least a couple of the kind of niche cookbooks and a couple kind of core cookbooks. So I have 2 of each today to talk about. After that very long introduction, let's get started. So my first cookbook is, maybe not surprising, How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman. This is a staple in probably most people's kitchen. This would make a great gift for someone who just got their first apartment, just graduated from college, setting out on their own. This is the kind of cookbook that if you are just looking for how to make, chicken breasts, you can look up a slew of basic chicken breast recipes, and you have somewhere to jump off of. What was wonderful, one of the wonderful things about this cookbook is that he designed it so that you have one core recipe, such as I'm looking at shrimp and scallion stir fry on this page, and then after almost every recipe there are a series of variations. So shrimp and snow pea stir fry, shrimp and asparagus stir fry, etc. So he gives you a core recipe to start with, and then has a series of variations on that recipe. It's a great way to kind of learn how to cook or learn how to use what's in your pantry to make something. I think this is the 20th anniversary edition, and I think there's a reason why it's been around for that long. I think it should be a staple in pretty much everybody's kitchen. Next up is Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. This came out a couple of years ago. It's by Samin Nosrat. This is an absolutely incredible cookbook, also for learning how to cook. She does this is the kind of cookbook that you could really just sit down and read as you'd read any book. It's filled with science and details, amazingly beautiful illustrations. Look at this spread on how to make mayonnaise. Just the illustrations are amazing. And basically she breaks down cooking into the 4 elements of salt, fat, acid, and heat, and teaches you how to understand these 4 elements in your cooking so that you have a better understanding of, rather than just following a recipe, you have an understanding of how those elements go into good cooking. And it has tons of recipes as well, but it also teaches you the core basics of cooking so that you can improve every aspect of what you make. I bought this a couple of years ago when it first came out. It had like a really big, splash onto the scene, and I think that there's a real reason for it. It's absolutely it will teach you how to cook properly, teach you how to cook better, and it's a phenomenal staple in every kitchen. So next up are 2 kind of more niche cookbooks that are a little bit more specific to what I love to cook. So first up is Jerusalem by Otami Ottolenghi. This is absolutely a beautiful book. Ottolenghi has a slew of cookbooks now. They're all incredible. This was the first one I ever picked up, and it's the one that will always have a home in my kitchen. I make a lot of things from here. There are some things that have some kind of more difficult to find ingredients that I haven't touched on yet, that I'm really excited about. But you know, his tabbouleh recipe is incredible. The falafel recipe is incredible. It's the kind of cookbook that you'll pick up to look at the imagery as well as the recipes. The recipes are incredibly well crafted. There's lots of places to dip in here if you're just want to get a toe into cooking, into this kind of cooking, but also if you want to get really deep into all of the different cuisines that are in Jerusalem. Any of the Ottolenghi cookbooks are fabulous for this, but I think Jerusalem will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first one of Ottolenghi's that I picked up, and it is one that I turn to all of the time. And last up, one that I just recently acquired and have been finding myself turning to all of the time is Carla Hall's Soul Food. This completely changed my conception of what it meant what Southern cooking meant, what it meant to cook from that cuisine. It's incredibly fresh and vibrant. There are recipes for things that you might expect, like shrimp and grits or biscuits and things like that. But there's things that just really broaden your horizons of what it means to cook soul food. Her writing style is really fun and joyful, and the recipes are very veggie heavy, which also kind of surprised me, but maybe it shouldn't have. From reading this book, I think that it really changed my perspective on what it meant, what Southern cooking is. And I've cooked many of the recipes in this cookbook, and I know it is one that I will be turning to quite frequently. So those are my cookbook recommendations for you today. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope that you find some cookbooks that maybe branch out your cooking or fill in those core principles so that you have a better understanding of what it is you're making. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll be back next week with more videos.